Welcome back to another episode of Jacksonville Buzz's Buzzworthy Businesses. As always, sitting right next to me, Dave Permenter. How's it going, bud?
Doing great, buddy. Nice to see you, as always.
I'm trying. So sorry I'm monochrome today.
Well, no problem.
They told me wear contrasting colors, and hopefully I don't disappear into the background.
Yeah, too bad they can't see your Michael Jackson shoes.
I know, aren't they shiny? But you know what? We're not here to talk about shiny shoes and Steve's monochromatic look. Who do we have for us today?
Today we have Elliott Greenberg. We're very happy to have you in the studio today. Rental Guys Property Management.
Awesome.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what does Rental Guys do?
Rental
Guys.
Yeah.
Sounds family.
I'm in the property management space, specifically residential. Have been for now 12 years. Got licensed back in 2013. And that was fresh out of college. I, like most people, kind of leaving the quote-unquote school market and into the job market, didn't know what I wanted to do, even though I had this shiny degree. And so I ended up asking and reaching out to a few family members at the time when I was in Miami. And they basically all said, why don't you get your real estate license? And so ever since then, I really never looked back. But it was a shock to me in moving back to Jacksonville after school that it was a really, really kind of, for me, a nice, cohesive, it married well. And again, I just never looked back. It's just been a perfect fit for myself and my partner, Brian, who's my cousin. Mm-hmm. So we're family owned and operated here in Jacksonville. And we've been in the residential property management space, like I'd mentioned. So we manage about 150 residential single-family condos and multifamily homes, up to about 4 doors. So a quadplex in this case. And yeah.
And so the things about property management, people like, okay, got it. It's always the thing, everything, manage a rental property for an investor. We were talking a little offset, differentiation in a marketplace where the service delivery is somewhat commoditized, right? Because somebody's going to fix a toilet, everybody's got to fix a toilet. Any property management company has to have the ability to get the plumber in there to fix the toilet, all the way out to the landscaping, everything around the property. What differentiates your company and that value proposition from other property management companies when people are investing in Northeast Florida, big investment real estate market, growing like a weed? What's that differentiator for you guys?
Well, for us, I would say, we're very transparent. So that's first and foremost. An owner can get as involved, an investor in this case, can get as involved as they'd like to be. But most of the time, we like investors who, know and trust, and they leave kind of the reins and the heavy hand-holding to us, where we're fielding the vendors, we're vetting and making sure that the tenants are happy and that all the repairs are getting done. And for them, it's easy because they're kind of logging into a portal, or what you would kind of expect to be similar to like your checking account. You're logging in, and there you're getting all the details of your entire portfolio, whether it's a single family, one property, or a multitude of properties. And so that differentiating factor for us is transparency. We want our owners to know everything going on if they want to know everything going on, or they can really know and be comfortable knowing that we're and trusting in us to be able to handle everything. And then at the major times when they need to get more involved, we'll obviously involve them in those decision-making processes.
What is your overall service area?
So we're Northeast Florida. So we're all the way from Palm Coast all the way up to northern Jacksonville, Yulee, as an example, and then everything east to the beaches, Ponte Vedra, Jax Beach, Neptune, and then all the way west, as far as pretty much Clay County.
And your typical clients are investors?
Correct. Although it's not to say that we haven't had a number of people that are military folk. And, that's some of our business of some of our owners are where it was their homesteaded property, as an example. They're now overseas or in a different state, country. And while they're active duty, will allow for, will help and obviously facilitate that. And we do a little small discount for our servicemen and women as well.
I appreciate that. I grew up in the Army. But, just for the folks that are watching this that may not, understand that your service area, just Northeast Florida, the area that you just described is roughly the size of the state of Rhode Island. Right?
Yes.
So a lot of people that watch this outside of Jacksonville, they don't really realize how physically massive Jacksonville is, but your service area is literally the state of Rhode Island.
If you want to think about it like that, sure.
That's,
I mean, but it's Duval, St. John's, and Clay County if you want to break it down by county.
Yep.
Specific.
Which is the major population centers.
Correct, and Duval being one of the largest land masses, I guess, in the country,
Yes.
or maybe even the world, if I've heard correctly. But in either case, that is our, where majority of our, and I would say all of our properties lie within that kind of Flagler County where Palm Coast comes into play.
Yep.
We've got a number of properties out there that investors have purchased, but it was more during the pandemic that they were able to score big and win in those markets just based on the cost of the rental.
So as we take it away, I got a question for you. So we were talking offset, I'm in the financial markets, like professionally outside of this show, and my wife is in your world. So what would you say to that family? Because, I can do those multi-million-dollar portfolio things, no problem, but you put me in front of a mortgage, I'm a puddle. I really, really am. It's scary. It's weird. It's the scariest thing ever. But I know my wife is she's got it, right? And so I just depend upon her to be more intelligent and better looking than I am. And so, but what would you say to that investor? I get my first rental property, right? And man, I want to do everything. I want to change the toilet flapper. I want to make sure that the sinks are working because that's my first investment. That's my baby.
Your baby.
And now I'm going to sell my baby for a piece to you to manage my baby to make it a better baby. How would you approach that person watching this, thinking about getting in that investment game in the first time, but also being terrified about giving that large piece of asset to you to run?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the first stage in kind of what we do, what I specifically do, my job role within the company, is to qualify those candidates. So I would first want to meet with this potential owner, potential investor, either physically or virtually, however that deems necessary for their time and just convenience. But then outside of the first meeting, we're kind of going over a game plan of, okay, number one, what are your goals for the property? Because sometimes I'll say expectations can be unrealistic, whether via price or time or just in general condition overall of the home, and they're not wanting to kind of compromise or maybe do the right thing in order to get the home rented. In our case, with my expertise, with the company and with our team's expertise, we know what it takes to get a home rented, what it needs to be presented as, and if you want to present it one way, that's fine. And a lot of owners do that, and we'll just say, you're maybe not a fit for our company. And so that's kind of that vetting process, that qualifying appointment. Beyond that, it's just a matter of getting them signed up and at the end of the day, kind of onboarding where Brian, my partner, steps in and he would kind of handle the reins from there on that onboarding process.
Gotcha. Well, I guess, the key takeaway there is to manage those expectations. Thankfully on this show, our expectations are very low. I mean, completing a sentence, we're good. But, I really appreciate you coming. We can't do this without each other, but we really can't do it without these guys, right?
That's right.
Hopefully we've met those expectations. And guys, I appreciate you so much for joining us today. If you like the episode, share the episode. We'll make sure to put Elliott's stuff on our website, which is thedailynewsnetwork.com. And remember, always live with gratitude.